This is Nick with Build Brothers Roofing. So we're inspection at 901 Hillcrest Pl out here in Oceanside. We're on top of a flat roof. This is a torch down modified bitumen material, a newer material that's been installed on this roof. There are a couple issues that I want to point out that really just kind of go towards the workmanship. So especially with flat roofs, you want to make sure that they're installed properly. It does not matter how new the material is. If it's not installed properly, water will end up finding a way into the structure itself. And one thing that I noticed with this material is there are plenty of areas on this flat roof where not enough heat was used to basically weld these seams together. There's not enough bleed out. You can see that some areas have proper bleed out, and then you'll have areas that have no bleed out, zero bleed out on this section as well. Now, the first area of any flat roof that realistically is going to start to fail is going to be around the edges. And you can see that the majority of this material is already starting to come apart from the drip edge itself. And you can see how rusted out these areas are. So water's been getting into the majority of these areas as well. There's been a lot of patchwork done on this section, so I'll focus on this for now. But you can see that again, a lot of the patchwork also is no longer doing the trick. The mastic that was used to seal off a lot of these cracks are starting to come apart and is no longer going to be waterproof in the near future. So you can also see just how wavy the majority of this material is. It's starting to come up. Obviously, if my fingers can get underneath it, then water can be getting underneath it as well. Same thing over here. Working over to this section, again, you can see how some areas will see a little bit of bleed out coming out, but the majority of the rolls don't have any bleed out, and it's really affecting the adhesiveness of the product itself. So you can also notice that, again, this is starting to come apart over here on the drip edge, and this is always the first area to fail. So I'm not saying that this roof needs to be replaced, but what I will say is that it is going to be very important for the owner of this property to be proactive when it comes to the maintenance on this particular roofing material. Typical torch down roofs should last anywhere from 15 to 20 years or so, depending on how well they were built and how well they were installed. If they're not installed properly the first time around, then they typically won't last that long. So again, it's important for this homeowner or the property owner to understand that they need to stay on top and be proactive with any kind of roof work on this property. That's it for my inspection. Okay, we're down to the separate structure on this property. Smaller building. This is a different situation than the main building. So this particular material was installed well the first time around. It is just extremely worn down. You can see how shiny all this is. So what that shininess is the fiberglass. So essentially what's happening is on this torch down modified bitumen roofing material, the oils have started to evaporate, and as those oils evaporate, the granules deplete, and as those granules deplete, the fiberglass becomes exposed. At that point, the waterproofing is greatly affected. You can see areas where all this water just kind of sits over time, nowhere to go, and when you have a material that's as aged and worn through as this, it is time to replace. You'll also notice there's a ton of debris on this roof. What that debris will do is, as it starts to decay, the acidity that comes from all that foliage will start to eat away at the roof material. So it's really a good idea to make sure that this roof stays clean. Once a year or so, have somebody come up here and just sweep it off. That would be a really good idea. But again, you can see just how shiny all this is. We got a bunch of equipment on this roof. None of it's drilled into the roof, which is a good thing. But if it's not being used, then we'll just go ahead and get rid of it. You'll notice that the sealant around all the penetrations is starting to wear through as well. You can see all those cracks and how water and moisture is going to be coming down those pipes every time it rains. So what we can do in this section is we'll tear this off, get down to the decking, ensure that we don't have any bad wood that we need to be replaced. Any kind of plywood, stuff like that, is going to need to go if it is rotten and if there's been leaks in the past. We'll go ahead and replace this roof material with a TPO roof material. It's more of a commercial grade product. It's going to turn this entire roof plane into one singular membrane. But you'll notice that there's a lot of ponding that's going on this roof. That TPO material does a fantastic job of withstanding all that ponding water. But in conclusion, for this particular structure, it was installed properly. Bleed out is proper. Everything seems to be really, installed well. It's just that the material itself has gone well past its life expectancy. That's it for my inspection.